live.
We're live. Christopher, we're live. Well,
Hey,
it's Christopher. That's funny. I really thought you were frozen for a minute there.
No, I'm good. I'm alive and well, kind of, sort of.
Welcome to Three Sides of the Coin, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Audra Erwin, your High on Life coach, and we are here today to set some good intentions and to check in with all of our intentions. So, my friends, Carol and Christopher, howdy.
Hi, sweetheart. How are you doing in Florida?
It is hotter than soccer players' gonads.
Soccer players' balls? Yeah. I was waiting for you to say something when your Audra-isms.
Yeah, I don't know why I attempted to tone it down, and that was just weird. It didn't
I know that was weird. You can see the filter kind of going. Okay, no, it's another word for balls. Gonads.
Scrotum, ball sack, gonadical features.
Now that we've turned off half the people that are listening to us, hi, I'm Christopher Rausch. I'm the creator of the KickAss Guide to Life, KickAss Motivation for KickAss People. And we're excited to be here today to share with you our discussion topic of intention. Miss Carol Pilkington.
Carol.
hi, everybody. And we're just loving it. Hope you're enjoying it so far. Yes, today our intention, inspire and educate and get your feedback afterwards with regards to the nature of intention. I'm Carol, spiritual mentor and teacher, and I help people over 40 and over, just rediscover life. And so let's kick it off. Why don't you give us your views on intention, what it means to you?
Me or you?
Christopher?
Christopher.
Oh, okay. You kind of muffled up there for a second, so I couldn't tell who you said. For me, honestly, normally I prepare for these a little bit in advance, and I haven't had an opportunity to prepare for this one in particular. But when I think about intention, I think about, at the grassroots of it, what it is that we are personally doing with our lives while we're here on Earth. What is our intention to make our time here valuable, and so that we leave a legacy that can be remembered after we're gone. And I think about intention in a couple of different ways. Our intention to to be ourselves, our intention to get other people to like us, our intention to grow, our intention to sometimes get away with things. So for me, really intention is all about the motivation, all about what your big purpose is, and that guides your intention. And for me, I'm excited for this conversation because I love the discussion of the incongruency in what we say we intend to do and what sometimes our actions really do. And sometimes it's on purpose, but sometimes we don't realize what we do and how it's at cross purposes for our intentions. So that's kind of like my beginning statement about intention.
And for me, intention is really everything. It's a game changer. It's being purposeful. It's really and truly, when my life started to transform is when I started being more intentional. When I was really started making decisions, right? Basically you decide. Deciding is setting an intention. I decided I want to have a better life. So you set your intention for that. Well, what does that look like, right? So a better life looks like whatever it looks like for you, and then you put whatever you put your attention on, that's your intention. Are you guys still there? I see you nodding.
Yeah, we're still here.
So yeah, intention is being purposeful. And my definition of intention is being purposeful. So being purposeful with what you want, what you're going to create. Today, I set the intention because I had to renew my license. Happy birthday, $120. You have to renew your license and your tag and get us money. And so I had to go do the whole eye thing and the whole, the DMV is like going to the dentist kind of sort of thing, right? You're like, oh my gosh, they don't take poison. And I'm like, no, I'm setting the intention that I'm going to go there and I'm going to be in and out. And so most of the time, and even in the past, you'd be like in that dread mode, right? Like, oh my gosh, I gotta go to DMV, it's gonna take forever, it's gonna kill half my afternoon, and guess what? You'd go to DMV and you'd be there and it'd take all half the afternoon. But it's being purposeful and intentional of setting your intentions of what you want and your desires and aligning with that. And so I'm like, I am gonna get in and out. It's gonna be the quickest in and out, and it was. It's amazing. The power of intention is amazing. Carol, what is intention to you?
I think she's intending on screwing us up. Come on, Carol, say something. She's messing with us.
I'm here. I can't hear me?
Well, now we can, but...
Okay.
Are you there, God? It's me, Margaret.
So I think we're walking into...
Christopher, this is crazy. It's what's throwing me off is like frozen in time over here.
Well, don't forget to mute your microphone. That way the camera doesn't jump.
Oh, is it jumping? How do I do that? Oh.
Got it? Okay. Can you hear me now? Just anybody speak. Okay, great. All right. So I think that we're walking intention. Intention can be conscious or unconscious. For me, power of intention, yeah, but it has to be pure, and it has to have a quality of invested. I needed a car very, very badly, and I put the intention out that I was going to buy a new year. As I did that, I got notified on Facebook in one of the groups that I belong to that somebody was, and everything else like that, and place. And I had the intention that I wanted the car by October. Well, I got it in July. So I had no investment in the outcome. I put it out there. I was notified, and what I realized too is that everything has a consciousness. So as I was setting the intention to receive the car, my car at the time, I had a Honda, and that was really done. I really feel that it was on its last legs, and by the time I got my new car, it was gone. So that's been my experience with intention, and ever since I've been putting out the intention without having an investment in the outcome, when it will happen or what it would look like, it's just been very, very, very miraculous.
Yes, deliberate creation is really what it's all about. What intention is about, being deliberate with what you're intending, anyway, to me. So that's when it's a game changer. When you're mindful daily, when you're just mindful of what you want and you set your intention for what you want, that's what creates your reality. Christopher, why don't you launch into your interview mode with your questions?
It's so funny, Audra, because as you were saying that, I was thinking about, one of my questions is on a humanistic standpoint, what is your intention? What are your guys' intention? I know guys' isn't a great grammatical thing, but what is your intention for where you're at in life, and how did your intention change over the years as you've grown? Because I know my intention in life was a lot different than where I'm at 45 years old today, which I'm happy to say that I made it this far. But what is your intention, and how is it different from where you were at?
Yeah. Can you hear me, by the way?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can see you, and you look beautiful.
Aw, thank you. So I don't think I was intentional and deliberate with my life until probably my 30s. Like, I think I was, for the longest time, just going along, right? I don't think that I even knew the whole rules of the game, right, of life, and how we are co-creators of our experience. And so for me, everything changed the moment I decided. So I think, in my opinion, for me, we have this innate knowing that there's more. Like, that's the purpose of life. We're always shooting off rockets of desire, right? Well, I want that, and I want that, and I want that. And it's always connected to, an emotion, what you're going to get when you get that. How's that going to feel? What's it going to look like? But that's part of life, and what you want, and aligning with those desires, and seeing them manifest. And so, but realizing that the more intentional you are, that's when you manifest what you really want. Otherwise, we're just operating by default, right? We're just kind of, at the cause, or at the effect, not the cause, right? Or creating. And so I think everything changed the moment I decided. I knew deep down that there was more for my life, and I was settling for less than what I was capable of. I was living according to what everybody else thought my life should be like, or status quo, or the Joneses, and all that we've talked about before. And it was when I made the decision, and I was intentional that this is really what I want. This is really what I want my life to look like. That you can start, filling in the gaps. So that's me. That's my intention. That's when I really became intentional. Okay, so here, the defining moment of that was being committed to what I wanted, right? It was like, I am committed that I don't want to live like this anymore. I am committed to breaking an old pattern, right, that I knew was showing up. And so I had held that intention that whatever was holding me back, because I was playing small for a really long time, that I would break through that, because I knew creatively that my soul was being suppressed, but I didn't know how to break out of that, right? I mean, we don't know sometimes how, we know consciously that we're operating in a way that isn't serving us, but we don't know how to not operate that way. But when you are committed and you're intentional with what you want, like, I don't want to live like this, it's like everything lines up to support that. So I couldn't
agree more.
Yeah. So that's really, I think that was the defining moment for me of being intentional. Was like, I was committed to not living in a way that wasn't serving my highest good, that I knew deep down at a core level.
And that's the key word is being committed. I love how you said that, because once we're committed, then we know, at least we're on the path to something, and we're putting the resources in it, we're putting our heart and soul in it, and it may not be the right thing ultimately, but at least we're doing something with it. What are your thoughts, Carol? And on that same question, how is your intention today different from what it was, and what is your intention today with what your life is now?
Yeah, I think it's so much different. I think it's not about thinking. So, for instance, if I see something in front of me, I'm not going to say, "Oh, I see something in towards it." No, it's a decision. I see something in front of me, and I move toward it. It's a decision that I make, and it's a conscious effort. That is something different for me now than it first started a path. and intent. We talked about desires and wants and needs. Well, it's what, until these things happening for me, why wasn't what I wanted and desired coming forth? It was because I wasn't specific enough, and I wasn't clear enough what I wanted and it comes from a soul place now of intent. Just in the way I not only evolve myself, but I help the larger consciousness system evolve. Tom Campbell, who's a NASA physicist, talks about entropy. And entropy is the measure of order. In human terms, it's how we measure order or chaos in our lives. And so my intention now is to lower my own entropy, but lower entropy around me. And so that's a strong decision that I have made, and I'm conscious of it every day. And on another level, when I make an intention, like I intend to create a class, an astrology class, and my intention was to have a maximum of 8, but no less than 5. And I put that out there, and my class filled up to 6. Actually, the room is at capacity, and I can no longer take any more students in that class. But I had an intention of creating it and having the people show up and have it be effortless, and it was. I made a decision, a declaration, and I was clear about it. So that's where I'm at about intention, where I was and how I've come to be now.
And that's really a great observation, Carol, and I really appreciate you sharing that, because that's, for all of us, that's the beauty of doing this. The three sides of the coin is that we've all been on different journeys, and there's no right or wrong answer. For you guys out there listening and watching, don't think there's a right or wrong answer. I mean, this is about a journey, and whatever spiritual journey you're on, or religious journey you're on, or whatever it is that you might be on. For me, my intention early on in life was to impress other people. I grew up, not having a dad, and my mom was always off doing her own thing. My sister was off with her dad every once in a while. So I realized in thinking about this subject matter that my intention was for people to like me so that I would have people to hang around with and people that loved me. And I spent most of my life up until a certain point where I wanted people to like me. And I was like, okay, I tell this story, it's funny as hell, but obviously not growing up with a dad, I didn't know about sports. And when I went on to the playground, I wanted to fit in. And I tell this story now because just to show the magnitude of how bad I wanted to fit in, but also that, we do these weird things. They were picking people for baseball, and they said, what position do you play? And I said, I play batter. And as you can imagine, the laughter that erupted when this 7-year-old kid is standing there wanting to fit in with all these other kids who have dads and have normal childhoods and everything. And here I am, because I've watched television, I'm like, I want to be the batter. And I wasn't smart enough back then to be sarcastic to say, I'm just kidding, I'm going to be, the guy over there on that white thing, which would have been probably just as stupid. But I wanted to fit in, so my intention was to impress people by being something that I wasn't. And then I got to be about 25 years old. Because I mentor a lot of kids and young adults. And I said, I got to be 25 years old, and I realized, you know what? It's okay to be me. It's okay if people like me for who I am, if they don't like me for who I am, as long as I like me for who I am. And that's when my life shifted, and the people that I thought liked me no longer were my quote-unquote friends, and the people that gravitated towards me were the people that I could still count on today at 3 o'clock in the morning to say, hey, I need somebody to talk to, or hey, I need a ride, or something like that. Those are your true friends that you can call at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I have a friend of mine that I actually did that to once, probably about 7 or 8 years ago. It was a long story, but I had to call him literally at 3 o'clock in the morning, standing on a street corner, and I was not being a hooker. And I said, dude, I need a ride. I have no place to go. I have, and we took care of it. But now my intention in life is, number one, obviously just to be me, And my intention is to help other people to be themselves too, and to feel comfortable and have the courage to follow their dreams that really light them up, irregardless of what their parent says, irregardless of what their church says, irregardless of what everybody else says. That's my intention in life. And it's just a magnificent thing that really happens when you do that, because people gravitate towards you. And over the course of the last week, I mean, the outpouring of people who have told me things about how I touched them has just blown me away. I mean, I was at a point where I was like, well, maybe I should go back to suit and tie speaking, and maybe this is the stupidest thing ever. And it's just amazing what happens when you stick to it. Like you said, Audra, you stay committed. And I like what you said, Carol, because you said be specific. That's what I like those. So my advice on, just that part of it, as far as where my intention goes, is that you have to just go with what's right in that moment. And my intention may change when I have a kid. My intention may change, when something tragic happens. But for right now, that's my intention.
Yeah. I'm with you right there, my friend. I intend to continue to overcome anything that tries to hold me back from my true, authentic self-expression. And truly intentional on serving the world and making it a better place on a daily basis and just showing up. Honestly, I just intend to show up. Show up for myself, show up for others, and it's all okay. It's all okay.
I'm showing up today, and I can barely even talk. I keep spraying I'm just being transparent. I keep spraying my throat with Chloraseptic because my throat's killing me. So I'm just being transparent. I have a nasty cold. But yeah, you just show up. You just bring the energy, and it's amazing what happens when you put that intention out in life just to live it. I mean, just at the grassroots part of it, when you just put that out there to live it. Another question I had for you guys is, what do you do when you find out that you thought your intention was right, but then you are being incongruent with it? Like, say, for example, us in the speaker world, we see a lot of speakers that behind stage are like, a certain way, and then they get up on stage and they're a certain way, and then they come off stage and they're that way again. I mean, the incongruency in what their message is and how they really are is something else. I'm not going to name names because that would take too long. But what do you guys do because I do it too. I'll find out, I'll feel something icky in my soul. It's like, Chris, you're not being congruent. Your intention, you say, is this, but you're doing this. You're an idiot. How do you guys deal with that?
Well, I think everybody has their own path, right? So, I don't even, the people who are in alignment, they have to deal with that on their own, right? For me, I remember that. I remember feeling like you had to show up a certain way just to get approval. But when you get your own, when you just want to show up and be you, just show up and be you, and then you have nothing to hide. Like I stand on stage and I get stage fright, and I just own it. Like I don't know if I'm even the one to ask that, because like I just own it. Like I'm like, all right, I'm having one of those moments, right? So, and it depends on who you ask. Somebody's always going to have an opinion, right? Somebody's always going to say, oh, she wasn't prepared, or oh my God, I can't believe she froze. Or there's going to be people who are like, oh my God, she's real. And I love that, right? So your vibe equals your tribe, right? And it's like, I would much rather just own it and be me, and then there's nobody can really, want to try to expose what's in the closet because you've already put it on the table, right? But pain, I think, in life comes from incongruency. It's when you're not honoring your truth, when you're not speaking your truth, when you're not showing up authentically, we suffer. If we just say, this is me and this is who I am, and you just take it or you leave it, you find your tribe, like your 3 o'clock in the morning homies, right? I mean, so, but we all have our path. I mean, I think that you just get to a place where it's too painful to live on everyone else's terms. And then you just decide, you have an intention that you're going to show up for you and live your truth, and be okay with surrendering anything. If we choke, like if we have a hangout that's maybe not, over the top. I mean, everything is as it should be in my personal belief system. I think everything is perfect as it is because we're all growing and learning and evolving. So we just have to stop judging everything and just let it be what it is, right?
Carol?
Carol. She's still frozen. Carol's having some microphone issues or something. I don't know what that's about.
And Audra,
Can you hear me, Chris?
You bring up a really good point, is that, you know, we have technological issues, and these things don't go as exactly as we plan, but we still go with them, and we go and we make it happen. So, you know, Carol, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. So what are your thoughts on all this?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Can't speak for anybody else. Hold on.
Sounds like the ice cream man.
I have to end the call. Anyway, it's just my phone ringing. I think that one of the things that you said is that we can't speak for anybody else, and I just show up. I own feeling incongruence with my message and how I'm being. Take a look at it, observe it, and I own it. I take responsibility for it, and that is a decision, and that's an intention that I carry throughout my life. So if I'm out and about a meeting that I really want to be there, or I'm not really wanting to meet with us, own that, but I won't project it out on to the world. I have to own it for myself, and that doesn't mean that I'm not being authentic. What's going on inside of me at that moment, and your intention to do that. With regards to other people and being one way when they're not on stage, I think that's just fear of being whatever fears are going on within that person. That's their thing. It's not mine. I know it for what it is, but it's not mine. And that's all I can do is take responsibility for my own actions, my own experience being, and how I show up in the world.
I think we're all just being human, like really.
Exactly.
We're all just being human. We're having this human experience, and sometimes it's messy, and sometimes it's, you know, but it's life, and you just show up and do life the best way that you can. And if something's not working for you, set the intention that you want it to be what you want it to look like, and then move from that space. And but at the end of the day, you know, I think that's, as we evolve, we become more intentional, because I think we start to align more and more with what we want, and what ultimately we want, and we start to look at the things that aren't working and check them, right? I know for me personally, it was like the moment I made the decision, I don't want to live like this anymore. Like, I saw these people having these phenomenal lives, right? Like, I mean, like truly, like I would sit back and go, God, they must just be ultra special. Like, God handpicked them to have these amazing lives, right? Like, I really thought that. Like, I thought, oh, I mustn't be very good because you know. And it's like, no, like we all can create our life. No matter where you are, you can create it by being intentional, by setting the intention of what you want it to look like. And when you're really intentional in your thoughts and your feelings about it, and your actions, you start to move in that direction, it's like everything starts to show up to help that manifest. And it's just like mind-blowing when you really can wrap your head around it. And so I would even say, you know, if you're not even sure about that, look back and find a reference, right? There's something in your life that you wanted, and it happened like that, you know, and go back to, wow, how was I able to get that? Well, I just knew I was going to have that. I didn't know how I was going to have it. I just knew. And then all of a sudden, there it is, right? So I think it's just like aligning back with that, you know? And it really all is about a feeling, right? It's always that vibration of, oh, this feels so great. And when you're aligned with feeling good, you bring in more stuff that feels good. And are you sure you're not good at me, Mr. Man?
It's just you know how I am, and what you were saying was conjuring up different things. God, my throat really hurts. You know, and that's
your bandana's too tight, baby.
My bandana's too tight. Never too tight. You know, one thing I was thinking about as you were talking, what's interesting, because we've talked about, you know, we're like the people we're around the most. And what do you guys do when you run across, you know, friends where their paths change, maybe their intentions are confused? You know, because I know I try not to put the coach hat on anymore. I learned that my enthusiasm for helping people sometimes isn't appreciated by even those closest around me. I mean, even my wife. You know, it's like, okay, well, what about this? What about this? You know, you go into fix-it mode. But what do you guys do when you come across maybe a friend you've had for 20 years and their intention is just befuddled, and yet they don't want help, and you know, and it's frustrating to be around them? You know, is that the time where you sit there and say, hey, maybe you need to go on and finish your journey? Do you just accept them for where they're at? And especially in personal relationships, because I mean that's a key thing I've seen, is that you have one person that maybe has a dead set intention, like I've always been a go-getter, so the people I've dated in my life either were go-getters with me, or they would try to hold me down because they're like, okay, your intention is to take over the world. Your intention is to do this. You know, that's just too crazy. My intention is to do this. How do you guys deal with that in your life? Because I know I've ran across that, and sometimes I've, you know, tried to be patient. I've tried to be helpful, and sometimes it's just like, well, just go do your thing then, and I'll see you later kind of thing. So I'm just curious to see what your responses are. Carol?
Yeah, I don't have a lot of those people in my life, but we can't just X people out all the time. To me, I just let them be the way they are. I'm not going to, most part, I don't have people in my life that aren't on some kind of evolution. Just to be with them and hear the machinery going in such a way that they're not engaged with a process. And I don't try and change them. I don't try and fix them. I used to do that, but again, it took too much energy for me, and I realized that not only can I not change myself, I can't change another, so why try? And that's not saying that we don't change on ourselves or other. And so I just let them be. I meet them where they are, and are usually on the periphery of my life, and not in. I have maintain those boundaries.
Yeah, I say a reason, a season, a lifetime. You know, not everybody is meant to stick in your life forever, and everybody has, you know, served their place and purpose in your life for whatever reason. And sometimes, you know, and again, I agree with Carol. It's about acceptance. You accept them for who they are. You know, there's no judgment. Everybody's on their own path. You know, I have this analogy. It came to me because I was dating somebody at the time who I was like, come with me, come. Like I wanted them to grow with me. I wanted them to grow with me. And it was like I had this huge aha when I was training for this half marathon. I was running, and I had this running buddy, and we would run side by side for like 6 miles, and then like she would taper back and I would go, and in the beginning I thought, oh, should I hang back and hang with my buddy because, you know, we run together, she's my buddy. But it was like I had the mojo to keep going, and she needed to hang back, right? And it was like all these ahas went off as I was training. It was like, and then there were these girls that were in my group that were like way ahead, right? And it was like, no, Audra, it was like, you can't stunt your growth, you know, for somebody else any more than it would be like for me to try to run like hell to keep up with them and exhaust me. Like, we all just have to run our own pace, you know, and respect everybody else's pace. And so I believe for me, it's like you energetically, sometimes you just energetically can't stay in each other's world. It's not comfortable anymore for either party. So it's just that I think it's a natural evolution as long as don't resist it, right? It's like that resistance of, oh my God, they drive me crazy. It's just energetically loving them where they are and saying, you know what, they're on their own path, and it's okay. I'm not above them. They're not below me. I'm not, nobody's wrong or right. There's no better or no different. It's just that we are having our own experience, and it's either going to enhance my experience and I want to carry it with me, or I need to let it go to have its own experience. And so for me, that's just kind of what's happened. I mean, I still love these people. Even, at arm's length, they're even still in my world, some of these people. But it's that intention, right? You're intentional of how you want to live your life and what works in your life. And those things are either going to rise up to meet that, or they're going to fall away naturally, right? So that's kind of been my experience with that.
That's so true. They'll fall away naturally, or they just won't be in our daily existence all the time. That's true. Everything has its natural evolution.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah. Our teachers in grade school aren't, in our lives, and they taught us a lot, and so does everybody else. And so if we can just appreciate all of our relationships, and I think that's my intention is to honestly have great energy around any relationship. Whether, if you're not meant to stay with that person, it's okay. You take the blessings and you be grateful and you love and you appreciate what it was and what was good about it. And you send it off with love and light, right? Then you don't carry that energy in to the mix. It's like so many times, we're battling against what didn't work out, or how disappointed we were, or something wasn't met, whatever, and that we have that whole energy around us that's like a stinky turd, and it's just like, no, just, I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, I agree.
I just say love, bless, and heal all relationships, and just release them with light and love, and that's me. The tie-dyed sheep of my family.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, Audra, because when we were over the weekend, we were sitting there having dinner, and it was Saturday night, and somebody had said, "Hey, where's your wife at?" And I said, "Oh, she went out with," and I love saying it. I said, "She went out with my ex-wife. They had a girls' night out with a bunch of other girls." And so you wait for you throw the thing out to the universe, and you wait for it to process through their eardrums, and then you kind of go, and then you watch their face go, "What did you just say?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "No, my ex-wife and my wife are friends. I believe in being friends with all my exes." And they actually went out, and sure enough, as I was sitting there, I get a text message from my ex-wife of my current wife on the stripper pole in the party bus. I mean, it was harmless fun. They were going to dinner, but it was just so ironic that when you were talking about relationships and not having hate towards those people, here I am sitting at dinner with Glenn Morshower and a lot of my friends, and just like, my life is so cool because that's the intention I put out there. People like, how do you do that? And I said, well, my intention is that I'm going to date somebody, or I'm going to be married to somebody who understands me and understands that just because something ended, and it didn't end well by any means, back when we were 20-something, but the intention was that there was something there that attracted us to each other, and to be friends is okay. There's nothing wrong with that, and to intend on finding people that accept you for who that is. I mean, I've had not a lot of girlfriends. I'm not going to sit there and act like I'm Gene Simmons, but there have been girls I've dated like, I don't want you talking to your exes. I'm like, well, I don't want the door to hit you on the ass on the way out, and I think that's a cool thing that you don't have to accept other people's beliefs and just in order to have them like you. Like I was saying before, before I'd be like, oh, okay, I want this girl to like me, so I just won't be friends with them. I would just say, I'm sorry, if that makes you feel uncomfortable, if you've been hurt before, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to be responsible for the people that have hurt you in the past. I'm a trustworthy person. And just here's what's going on in my life. And so it's just super cool when you put that intention out there. Like just like you were saying, I don't even use the word hate anymore. I mean, I used to say, oh, I hate you too. I hate this. I hate that. I just say I don't care for it. I dislike it because my intention is not to put negativity out in the world. Although some days we do have our bad days, and you will hear me be negative, and you'll hear me be, downright cynical and incongruent with my message, but I'm human. And that's the one thing that people have told me recently. Like, I love how you just say you're having a shitty day. It's like, well, we all do. There's not a single person out there, any motivational speaker gets up on stage and goes, oh, life is sunshine and roses. Then I watch him get off the stage like, oh, my God, I hope I sell a ticket because I've just already reserved the room. It's like, really? I mean, yeah, you got to play the game a little bit, but that's just my two thoughts when you said that. It just kind of struck me, and you just put out there what you want back. It's like the secret, the law of reciprocity. Just karma, it's all those different things, the good deed and all that stuff.
Yeah. One of the things for me was that I always had the intention myself in every relationship that I had. I never blamed or held a grudge against anybody. I always, after the fact, wanted to inquire and contemplate on what was it that I learned about myself to learn. So I'm always grateful for having had those relationships because I learned something about myself and I learned about life. And I always used to say, I always learned what I didn't want so that what I wanted became more clear. It's a heck of a way to go through relationships, but everybody has their path, right? But it was really a strong intention not to have that negativity and grudge and those bad feelings against people because we're all here to learn. And I had that realization a long time ago. I would hear people bad-mouthing their past relationships and being regretful and going through all this whole process, which we all may go through from time process when we get right down to it and of those experiences. Hello.
Another question you got, Chris Rausch.
What was that?
What other question do you have? You're so the master of radio.
All right. Boxers or briefs?
Oh my, well, boxer briefs, I say.
Carol?
Either one. I'm open. I like them both.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was the snap that Audra was talking about. Tony Robbins talks about changing your state, which I'm a firm believer of. I've watched Tony Robbins, and I love doing that with people because I'll find people like, "What do you want?" And then I'll say something completely stupid like, "Show me your boobs," and then all of a sudden they'll be like, "Oh, I know what I want. I want peace, love, and happiness for everybody in the world." You know what's funny, and we don't talk about it much here on Three Sides of the Coin, but one of the problems I have in society at large, we had this conversation over the weekend because I openly say I don't follow the news, I don't follow politics. I mean, whatever ISIS is doing, whatever the government's doing, whatever, all that stuff, there's nothing I can really do about it. I choose not to do anything, I should say. I could do something, I could go out and wave a banner and everything. But, when you think about the intention of the world, I mean, that becomes Pandora's box to try to answer. So I throw that out there just to kind of see what thoughts you have about what really the intention of our government is or the other government and what it really means because I mean obviously it could take a long time and I was apprehensive about asking the question in the first place because it to me it's all a game. It really is. I'm sure if we went back in all the back doors of these conversations, I'm sure it's all like, okay, I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna point something at your country and then you're gonna come back and you're gonna look like the hero and then I'm gonna do this and I tell you, well, I'll give you $50 billion. To me, that's what it seems like. But what do you think the intention of the world is right now?
Well, I hold the intention that there's a shift happening and that it's moving towards a more harmonious place. Like, I don't get caught up in spin and dish on all the crap that's going on, and I've been accused of living in my, bubble, which I do. I even say that. I live in a pink, shiny bubble, and I like it, And, but that is my reality. We create our own reality. I choose to look at what's going my aunt's walking the dog and carrying on back there. Sorry. Anyway, I choose to look at what's going right in the world. I continue to see all the people who are trying to make the world a better place. I put my focus and attention on that. When you're asking government questions, like, I can't even have really a conversation with you about it because I don't watch TV. I don't read the news. I hear what I hear, and it's not like I'm an ostrich with my head in the sand, but I really choose to align with making the world a better place, even energetically. And I think when you sit and you dish and you pick apart and you rehash and you're all like, whatever, I think you're still spinning that negative energy out into the world. I say align with how you want the world to look, and then do your part and rise up to contribute to that. But, I'm probably not the best person, Christopher, to have that conversation with at all, because I really do live with unicorns, fairies, and rainbows. And I'm really proud to say that I do, because I'm happy and high on life like 90% of the time. And I can truly say that. So I'd rather not listen to all that crap.
Carol?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, Audra, and I know what's going on from time to time, but I don't pay much attention to it because there's nothing I can do about it. On all I is pay attention and mind my own business and take responsibility for what and as far as the big world is concerned, well, as Tom Campbell would say, we're in preschool some way, but on that larger scale, all I can do is take responsibility for my own life and lowering entropy self and for those around me, and not creating more chaos. So take responsibility for lowering my own and keep not lowering, but plugging up my that can.
Ladies and gentlemen,
it's a little difficult because you're not sure. You're not sure if somebody's done talking. You don't want to talk over them. Yeah, I'm the same way. Somebody told me, like, Chris, you have your head in the sand, and I said, okay, so if I am if I got muscular dystrophy, or if I'm special needs, and I'm in my own little world and I'm happy finger painting, and because I don't give a crap what's going on. I mean, people feel sorry for special needs people, but and then when I was younger, I did. Truth exposed, I would make fun of them, and I didn't understand them, and I was like, okay, I don't want that to rub off on me. But I mean, I just had it at the event this weekend. Carol, you were there. There was a guy that was walking around, and he was I just call it in their own world. And he walked up to me, and he saw me giving people hugs, and I was going to give him a hug. And it was the craziest thing because I was across the room, and I saw him walking towards me. And all of a sudden he walked towards me, and I had a group of people around me. I was talking, and he just walks up, and he just gives me this big hug. Doesn't say a word. And I just looked down on him. I said, thank you. And he said, no, thank you. And I was just like, wow. But I tell people, they're like, Chris, you have your head in the sand, and you should be prepared, and you should have, I have disaster recovery. But I said, what do you tell those people? They're in their own little world, and they're happy. Why can't I be in my own little world and be happy too? If you want to go out and fight ISIS, if you want to go out there and change the laws that are on the government's table, what are you doing standing here talking to me for? What are you doing spending half of your day bitching about shit that's not going to do any good and hoping that it's going to change and hoping you're going to walk into a room full of people and go, gosh darn it, I'm going to find every Democrat in the place, and I'm going to turn them into Republicans, and I'm going to change their minds about what's going on. I mean, come on. I mean, there was a Facebook post I put up one time where it says, yeah, I'm really glad that all your Facebook posts are going to change my affiliation with my political party. Thank you. You know, it's just so funny. I mean, it's kind of a tangent off of intention, but you know, it's just amazing what other people try to intend on doing, and then there's no reality in the base of it. It's like, okay, I'm gonna put a Ron Paul sticker on my car. I mean, yeah, freedom of speech, that's cool, that's all. But what are you doing beyond that? So I don't know. Side rant. ADD squirrel. Woohoo! So what advice do you guys? What do you guys do? What advice do you have for the people watching on how, if they don't know what their intention is, or if their intention is at crossroads or incongruent, what advice do you guys have for our listeners and our watchers to change the path that they're on now?
I say, what do you want your reality to look like? Right? What do you want your reality to look like? What is working? What's not so much? Be intentional. We do create our own reality, right? You know, it's so funny, back to what you were talking about a minute ago. I remember just hearing the phrase my whole life about, oh, so-and-so, they're in their own little world. Like it's a negative, right? Like a derogatory comment, oh, they're in their own little world. And I'm sure people say that about me, oh, she's in her own little world. And I love being in my own little world. And we are all in our own little world. We are. This is our world. Like, right? I mean, this just is our, we create our own reality. We create our own reality. So I say be very intentional with what you want and be careful what you align yourself with, because it's either going to deliver you what you want or take you away from it. You know, it's funny because I had, you know, I had a conversation with somebody that I don't normally hang out with, and they have a completely different model of the world than I do. They have a completely different belief system. They're very, you know, proact, on guard, and, you know, like, oh, you know, people will steal your identity, you know, and people, like, reminding you of all of those things, right? Well, I don't put that in my vortex. I don't float that in my punch bowl, right? So, but it's amazing how sensitive you become when you align with your tribe, right? When you're surrounded by a certain vibration, when you're surrounded by a certain people, you know, who are more your vibe. And then, you know, you're around somebody who has different views, and that's their world. In their world, they see the things that reinforce that. I don't see those things. They don't show up in my world because I don't put them in my world. So I guess to answer your question is, what do you want your reality to look like? And then you put those things in your world that support that reality. And the things that don't support that reality will either fall away or you need to let them go from your world. Carol?
Yep, I'm here. I think what I would say is, first of all, it's a very profound question, not to be taken lightly. When you go to declare or make a decision on what your intention is, be very clear about what it is and make sure it's realistic. And also allow yourself to play with it. Be playful with it. Don't take it so serious. Create an intention and let it go. Mm-hmm. And also don't have any attachment to what it's going to look like or when it needs to be a certain way. Because when you put those kinds of attachments on it, it's not pure. Then you're coming from a place of fear and worry and doubt. If you can just say, this is what I'm declaring, be clear about it, and you'll feel it in your body. You will know that it's a real clear intention in your body, and you'll be able to put it out there and see what comes of it. Just be playful with it. It's really it takes practice. It really does, and it takes conscious effort. And then check back in with yourself every once in a while to see if that intention is still congruent with you and if it's what you really want. I did that for a lot of different things that I've, you know, intentioned long term. And I just kept checking in with myself to see something that I really feel that matters to me. Make sure that it matters. And when I realized that sometimes the intention was no longer valid for me, I let it go. So you can do that too. It's not something that's set in stone. And so just play and be free with it. Don't take yourself so seriously, and just go with it.
Free Willy.
I'll add why do you want it? What will it mean for you when you have it, right? Because that's really when you align with your desire. It's like, oh wow, well I want it because this is why. This is what it will mean for me, right? And you're so right, Carol. It's so true to let go of the attachment. I have this phrase that I use, and I say, surrender the how and live in the now. Because otherwise you're blocking.
I like it.
You're blockifying, another Audra is a minute with. You're blockifying your mind with, the how it's going to happen, and then you're not enjoying the unfolding of life and appreciating what's happening around you because you're just laser focused on what that is, your outcome is. So, surrender, wave the white flag.
Well, we've got a little bit of time left, so my last question is, what is your intention with your life and your purpose, and with the people watching from this point forward? What's your intention with your life and how you're going to impact those who have tuned in today?
Wow, that's a big one.
Thank you.
I'm on a path.
Didn't know the camera went that low. I couldn't help it. Couldn't help it. Sorry. Erase.
No.
Go ahead, Carol. You have the floor.
It's a really good question, and basically all I would say is that I'm always growing, and my intention is to never stop evolving and growing and being an example for that change. So that's my intention, and whoever wants to math with me and seek, I'm there to help and assist, because I've had a lot of amazing experiences, mystical and very practical to them, that have been life-altering. So that's my intention, to just continuing to grow, help others to grow. I'm not seeking or trying to dig people up. They have to let me know, and they have to knock loud enough to let me know that they're wanting to walk the path and what their commitment is. That's another thing about intention. There has to be a commitment. So that's what I'm about.
Yay! My intention is to keep showing up for myself, right? To keep putting myself out of my comfort zone, to keep stretching and growing and evolving, and to keep showing up for other people, right? To keep, just to keep serving and evolving and experiencing life, just every day as it unfolds, and appreciating it even more, and being grateful for all of it, for everything, all of it, even what we don't agree with, just being grateful that that's a, just place for us to decide what we want and align with that, all of it serves. So I just intend to keep being a better version of me, to keep, just showing up in life and playing full out, and just loving and living every bit of it. So that's my intention. And to hang with you two ass clowns.
Well, and I'm so honored to be in your guys' company. I consider myself very blessed and very fortunate. I never say the word lucky anymore, but I consider myself very blessed and very fortunate because I got to brag this weekend about, having you two as co-hosts here on the three sides of the coin, and people were very intrigued about it. We got quite a few in-person reviews that said they really appreciate what we bring to the table here, aside from our technical glitches. For me, my intention, honestly, has been reaffirmed over the course of the last 4 or 5 days, is just to continue kicking ass and taking names, just to continue being who I am and passionate about, helping other people find what it is that makes them tick, and helping people overcome their fears, helping them overcome procrastination, developing courage, just living their authentic life. It's just so amazing because you see people, they'll walk up to you and they'll have this facade on, and then they'll be like, oh, dude, you're so cool. It's like, man, I wish I could walk out there and do those things and be just, I'm like, I'm just a nut job. Yeah, if you like me. I mean, I was in front of 300 and some odd people, and I could see there were people like going, really, him again? What's the hell? What's the band? But it's just, my goal in life is just to continue being the best me that I can be, just like you guys said, and helping people and helping people more in group formats, group coaching, masterminds, and stuff like that. I got approached this weekend about doing a coaching for somebody, and I was just like, I just got approached again today about something else, and I'm not trying to say no to money, but it's just like, people have to be super committed, and my intention is that each one of these that we continue to do affects you guys in such a way that you walk away from this hour and you kind of go, wow, here's a couple of things I could take away from it. And the important thing is to make sure that you're writing stuff down, because you can keep it up here in your mind, but if you just take a couple of notes, if something Carol says or something Audra says or something I say resonates with you, get in touch with us and get more information about that. But just take action and just say, okay, am I part of the problem or am I part of the solution? And then just take action. So that's my intention for the show. Edmund.
You can.
You do. You're great.
That thing with your hands. Am I doing it right? Like, oh, that means I love you, right?
Yeah, I love you too.
Okay. So, but what's your thing? You do like that, right?
No, that's like hang loose. We got Here's a hand sign. Here's hang loose. Here's I love you, or so I love you, and then this is just kind of like the heavy metal sign. Actually, I had a different kind of person ask me like what is that, and I said, as far as I know, it came from a singer, Ronnie James Dio, who was the second lead singer of Black Sabbath. His grandmother would walk down the streets, I think of England or something like that, and she would ward off evil demons. So she'd be like, oh, and it just kind of became the heavy metal sign, and it became something that I just constantly do.
Horns. My friend Tina used to do that.
Yeah. So it just became something I did. For the longest time, I was a peace sign kind of guy, and then it just stuck, and then people know me by that because they just walk up and go like that. So. There you got it. You get the power of intention, and you get to know your hand signs too. We just don't want to see the one hand sign where it's see my pinky, see my thumb, see my peace sign -1.
I never heard that. I heard this one. Here's the church. Here's the steeple. Open it up. There's all the people. Something like that.
Your turn, Carol.
Yeah, my intention is that if you walk away with at least one thing, an aha or insight, that we've done our job, and we look forward to seeing you in the next couple of weeks, and we'll put the link and let you know what our next subject is and when it will be. Thanks again.
And tell everybody where they can get a hold of you at.
You can get a hold of me at Carol Pilkington, AROLPILKINGTON.com, or you can call me. You can also reach me on Facebook, called facebook.com/Heart-Centered Astrology and more. Yes, I am an astrologer as well as a metaphysical teacher. Look forward to hearing from you.
Yay! I'm Audra Erwin, High on Life Coach, and you can find me at Audra Erwin, ERWIN.com, and the High on Life Coach on Facebook, and the Happy Hour Radio Show on TogiNet Radio.
And of course, I got to teach these girls how to do the lower third. You can get a hold of me at ChristopherRausch.com, RAUSCH, ChristopherRausch.com. We'd love to connect with you. Thank you guys for all joining us, and have a kick-ass week, and take action and love and live your life.
Bye.
Bye.
Signing off now.
Signing off.
Bye.